I remember the first memory I have of my husband. Our nurses would get together in the afternoons, all of the nurses in West Point, and on this day we were together. I was 5 years old, and my husband, Louis, he was 5 years old, and we were playing in the front yard of the library. And we were running, everybody's always running, you know, when you're that age. And I fell over the faucet that was in the middle of the yard, I think, in front of the library, and broke my shoulder. It was not a happy memory of my husband, but that's when I first remember him. When my husband and I got married, I had decided, of course I never mentioned it to him, that I wanted 6 children. Well, when my first one was born, Kitsy, my little girl, I had never, ever felt that way before. I had such love for that baby, and my thought was, I had no idea that my mother loved me this much. And I loved that baby. Of course, she was everything, everything. And then we were expecting another one. And I thought, oh, I don't think I should have another child. I will never love this child as much as I have loved Kitsy. But we had it, and his name, a little boy, and his name is Jack. And oh my goodness, I thought, I didn't know you could love 2 things like this. I was amazed. I was shocked that I could love that child, that little old baby, just as much as I loved the first one. But then I decided, well, 2 is a gracious plenty, 6 is out of the question. And so 10 years later, we got a bonus child. And I told Mother, and my mother says, oh, sister, what are we going to do? I said, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to have another one. As it turned out, my daddy had died. My mother, Mother sold the house that I grew up in, and we had a lot behind our house. And she built her a smaller house, and our backyards met. Well, it was the greatest thing. Melissa being born was the greatest thing that ever happened, not only for us, but for my mother. She spent half of her life down at me mama's house. Me mama loved to cook. Me mama would read stories. Me mama did everything, you know. She was just that way. And oh, she and Melissa had the greatest relationship of, it was a lifesaver. God knows what he's doing. So that was one of them. Okay. Kitsy grew up, West Point. We still had a wonderful school system. She had a great education. All 3 of my children had a great education in West Point. And she went to Emory in Atlanta, graduated in mathematics, and married a boy, Lee, who also graduated from Emory, and he was from Jacksonville, Florida. They moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and proceeded to have 5 children, 4 boys, 1 girl. And Kitsy had always said, because we had Melissa, and one day I had asked Kitsy to go to the grocery store. She was 16. And would you please take Melissa with you? She was 2. And she came back. Mother, don't ever ask me to take Melissa anywhere again. That lady at the checkout said to me, you mothers are getting younger looking every year. She says, I will never take her anywhere. But anyway, so she ends up, and she says, I may get married. But if I do get married, I am not having any children. Okay, she got married. She's the one that had the 5 children. And then Jack comes along. He goes to, one of his friends, one of my friends says, Evelyn, this was right before his senior year in high school, said to me, Evelyn, Jan, her daughter, has decided she's not going to finish high school. She's just going to go to LaGrange College. Do you think Jack would like to do that? I says, well, I don't know, but I'll ask him. So he came home. I says, Jack, Jan's not going to finish high school. She decided she's just going on to college. Do you want to do that? Go to LaGrange College? He says, I think I do. I says, okay, well, get in the car, run up to LaGrange, and see if you get in. So he came back and says, well, I'm in, and my classes start tomorrow. I says, ooh, okay. So he goes to college too. And Jack went to LaGrange College, didn't graduate from high school, and then he went to Georgia Tech. Then he decided he wanted to be a farmer. So he transferred to the University of Georgia, graduated in agronomy, and I said, well, I was talking to Mama. Mama, Jack is graduating in agronomy. I says, you know what that is? She says, I have no idea. I says, it's growing crops. She says, oh my goodness, Evelyn, he's going to lose every dime he ever had. I said, not to worry, Mama, he doesn't have a dime. So it'll be all right. But then he decided, after he graduated from Georgia, that he would go to law school. So he went to law school in Birmingham, Cumberland Law School at Samford, and graduated from there, went into law practice in LaGrange, and loved practicing law, and then he became a judge, a superior court judge, and now he's retired, and he's a hay farmer, and he has to work a little bit in the law stuff. He does mediations and advocate judges and stuff that I never heard of, and he has to do that so he can support his hay farm, because hay farming is real expensive. So, and he got married, has 2 boys, and they went to the University of Georgia, and they're not married, but we hope they will be soon. And then we'll have Melissa. Melissa goes to private school. She's a senior in high school at Springwood School in Lynette, Alabama. And this friend of hers, she was a good tennis player, and this friend of hers called from Gordon College and said, Melissa, would you come over here right now and go to college at Gordon and play tennis? She says, yeah, I'll do that. Mama, what do you think? I says, yeah, you can do that. So she said, and we packed up and drove over there the next day. Never had even seen the school. And so we get over there, and the dorms were wonderful. The school was just great. And she stayed there and finished. It was a junior college. She finished over there. And then she went to Oral Roberts University in Tulsa and graduated there. Met wonderful people and loved every minute of it. Then she got married. And Melissa, after she graduated, she got a job in Augusta, at Augusta College, and as going to, she was a representative of the college. And she did that a couple of years. Then they found out she could play tennis, so they made her the manager or the whatever of the tennis center, and she was the tennis coach for the girls coach and the boys coach. But she came up in the era when the United States was pushing women's sports. So that's how she sort of fell into that, because she likes to do stuff. And she was the boys' tennis coach, she was the girls' tennis coach, and did all that, ran that tennis center, and she was having a big tournament. And my husband he retired, so we went over there. Mama, you got to come, because I got to run this tennis tournament. It was a state closed tournament for USTA. So we stayed over there a week or so and helped her run the tournament. And then later on, she met this guy. His name is Lee also. Both my girls are married to Lees. And she married Lee, and he was a tennis player. They met on the tennis court, and he lived in LaGrange. He graduated from LaGrange College, and they got married, and they never could have their own children, so they adopted two red-headed sisters.